Welcome, groups. Welcome to another session of Conscious Gatherers. I'm joined tonight with Bev and Royce, and I'm going to start off tonight with ladies. First, say hi.
Hey,
Hello.
welcome. Yeah,
great.
and introduce yourself, Terry.
Well, yeah, I'm Terry. Hi there, guys. You know me. I'm the guy that usually comes in, announces and ends it, but the ladies have asked me to step up and start the session tonight. And I thought we'd talk about the law of attraction and free will. And because I was watching a blog or a video the other day, and they were talking about the law of attraction. They actually were using the vaccine as a very good example. So I'm going to kind of use that and talk about it because that's prevalent and on everybody's mind. And for the law of attraction, I'm going to use the side that people don't want to take they have the vaccine for whatever reason, because it will demonstrate the law of attraction very well as we're dealing with it here. So the idea here is if someone is choosing not to take the vaccine, they're concerned, and they're showing their concern by voicing out that, they're worried that you won't be able to travel on an airplane, or my boss might make me have the vaccination, to go to work. And, there are some industries that are doing that now. And what the law of attraction tells us is that we think about and we dwell on, we bring to us. So rather than, if you choose not to have the vaccination, and rather dwelling on all the issues that could have come about for not taking it, like not being able to work or not being able to travel, which you're going to attract to you, change that around and think of, I'm choosing not to take the vaccination, and I call forth the universe to help me in that no one will force me to be able to do that, because it's my free will, and I stand strong and firm. Don't go to the places and worry and bring those thoughts into your consciousness about what could happen. Think about what you want to happen, see it happening and or not happening, not letting you get on a plane, not letting you go to work. See that and live from that point and work from that point. Because remember, we have a gift here of free will. We're all given the choice of free will when we came into this plane and into this experiment on Earth, and we always have a choice. And when you look at it from this way, from you having a choice, you don't believe that there are outside forces or people are dictating what you are to experience. But you know that you'll bring to what you want because you choose to. And that's the ultimate gift we have of free will, where it'll never be taken from us, not in this plane. So when you view your existence in this manner from free will, you'll begin to see exactly how many opportunities are available to you. That you're not a victim of time and circumstance, but you actually are a creator and co-creator with our creator. So I thought those were poignant things that I had read and followed this week. So just remember, see your experiences in the future from how you want them to be, and then play it backwards so that it manifests. And don't dwell on that you don't want, because that's what you will attract. Any comments on that, ladies?
Yeah.
Terry, it's really funny, but what I had thought about saying, it approaches the exact same subject matter from a slightly different point of view. So I guess this is definitely what we're supposed to be talking about today. What I experienced today is I was honing in on someone else's energy field, and when I did that, I noticed that immediately things started happening around me. Things started to go haywire, like everything was falling off the shelf or falling on the floor in front of me. Bags were tearing, all kinds of crazy stuff. And so I kind of caught on to what was happening, and I thought, well, I'm going to make a choice here and decide to live my day in a different way. Um, so I became like an observer instead of an experiencer of the insane energy that I was seeing going on around me. It continued, but I was observing it and not experiencing it. I was I thought about how everything has its own frequency, and I've spoken about how frequencies are being broadcast by the communications towers. Oh man, it's been several episodes back, and how I, as well as many others, are being affected by them. And I myself hear the signals which are being continuously amped up, making the signals louder and more intense to the point of it being painful, actually, and distressing. And we're currently going through one of those amping up periods now. So today, as I drove here to Bev's house, I was noticing how traffic was even being affected. People were zipping by me like I was just standing still. And vehicles were having a very hard time staying in their own lanes, and all kinds of crazy stuff going on out there. And I reflected back on this, and I feel the need to ask all of you to become very aware of your own thoughts and actions. Are you finding yourself becoming fearful of people, of traffic, of anything? Perhaps some outside influence is causing you that fear. So what I can offer to you as a help is to ask you to place your focus, instead of outside of yourself, place your focus in your center. Make that conscious choice, that free will choice. The center is your seat of love within your own being. And there are some who would say that fear is the opposite or opposing force to love, but that's not true at all. Love stands alone as the master of all powers or forces. It has no opposite, for it has no opposing equal. So center yourself, and you will have removed yourself from the fear, as well as from the fear from the energies that are going bonkers around you, and as well as deceit. You will have removed yourself from that as well. So love kind of holds the trump card, and it's above all. So just placing your focus, making that conscious choice to place your focus in that seat of love within yourself, gives you the upper hand on being able to deal with the world, especially now. So I find that we're talking about the same thing, Terry, except from different points of view.
Absolutely. Bev?
Yeah, well, thank you both and pointing that out, because it, as you're both saying, it is definitely a choice. And I admit I've gotten caught up in the whole vaccine, no vaccine, and all the issues that go along with that, getting into the fear mode. And then I'm thinking, what am I doing? And then I start observing myself doing that. And I can't say it's been that easy, because I've been back and forth on it. But I realize I'll get into fear mode, and it's like, okay, is this another scare tactic or what? But I'm doing it to myself, and I realize I am. But when I'm with my, loved ones and things like that, I totally forget about it, and I go into my
love trumped it.
love trumped it all. And so I'm realizing this, and so it's, and I really don't like to use the word test, but it's, it's my choice to either go into that fear mode and then or not. And I realized I was doing that, and it's like, what am I doing? And you question yourself, what am I doing? and it is my choice, and my choice does affect me greatly. So, and as we've talked about in other podcasts, talking about the law of attraction, the free will, yeah, and those people that you find, talking about people that get sick, for instance, I notice those that are so fearful of getting sick are the ones that get sick. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that's going to happen for everybody, but I've seen it happen over and over again, and so it's what they bring into themselves. So it's what we attract. So I appreciate you bringing this up. Terry, do you have any other comments?
Well, yeah, it's important that our listeners understand that we aren't victims out there. There's nobody doing anything to you. You have the free will, the choice to make and create what you want and manifest it. And that's the lesson. That's really the lesson that all the masters have come to talk about, that you are co-creator. You are created in the Creator's image, which means you create as the Creator creates, and you're one with the Creator. There's no separation. And the fall that they talk about was man, and when I use that in terms of humanity, not in the sexual term, lost their way because they came identified with the small s self instead of the God self that we all are. And we got locked in with our senses. We enjoyed the senses, the pleasures, and in the thought, in the purest of who we are, there aren't those kind of things. Those are the physical senses that we have, and they're here we've all experienced them. We've all experienced pleasure. There's nothing wrong with them, but we became to believe that that's what we were, and we forgot who we were. And also know now that this time now, in the past, it's taken sometimes a lot longer for what your thoughts are to manifest before they come. But now, in this time that we're in now, the time space between what you think and what occurs is becoming less and less in between. So just what we talked about earlier, make sure that your thoughts and your desires are on those things that you actually choose in a positive way, so that because they're going to manifest a lot sooner, so will things that aren't so positive and maybe you're worried about having, those would manifest too. So keep that in mind.
Well said. Thank you, Terry. Do you have anything to add?
Well, there was a quote from Sai Baba, who said that the distance between you and God is the same as the distance between you and yourself.
Well said. Doesn't exist. We all exist. Existence. All right. Any more? Either of you want to say any more on that? I was going to go on just a little bit of it kind of goes along with what we're talking about, yet a little bit of a right turn. And it also goes along with what we talked about in our last podcast called Eye of the Storm. And yeah, you ready? Okay. Well, today I kept hearing, and it's something that I started hearing quite a few years ago, actually, but it was coming back to me today. It is and that is, we are the future you. And we're starting to see linearity fading. And I've noticed people talking about that, and it's like, jumping timelines, that sort of thing. And so today I wrote down, actually about an hour ago, I got this information. They said, you are galactic humans, and many are now becoming aware of this. So history of being rewritten is being rewritten as more archaeologists research land and waters. And that is, we're going to find out what has really gone on before us. And so much is surfacing right now. And so it's to me, it's really exciting, because this Terry, you just mentioned time space becoming less and less, that this information, what they're going to find, is not going to be held for that long before it's presented or shared with the Earth's populace. And so we're going to start seeing a lot of really interesting things. And so we're going to, question some of the things that we've been told in the programs and that sort of thing, which we have talked about previously. But anyway, I feel it's happening now. And if you recall on the last podcast, what was it? The words were given. They said, put it this way, what all will witness will be undeniable. So we're going to be witnessing some pretty awesome stuff. So
that
I want to share.
Yeah,
go ahead.
That brings up some stuff that I was actually thinking and contemplating today. I was marveling at, how we take for granted that with a little device that we hold in our hand that's not connected to anything, I can tune in and have a video conference with my son and daughter-in-law and grandchild in Amsterdam. And I'm going, and all of this was always available. We just hadn't discovered it or figured out how to do it yet. You remember when it was all wired phones and faxes and stuff? Well, what's the next step? If in doing that is being able to do that without without this little device in our hand, we'll be able to connect like Bev is and some people now, but as a regular everyday event, us communicating wirelessly with each other. We're doing it already. You're just not quite aware. What Royce said earlier, she was tuning in to, it's like having a phone and the other person, she was picking up on those vibrations. They're there. The reason that we all do that, and we'll know soon as it all comes, the truths are coming out, it's the law of one. We aren't separate. We think we're separate. We think we have different, religions and all this other stuff. But deep down within us, we're all one. We're the same. If we're one, we can communicate to each other, with each other, without any types of apparatus or anything like that. So, it's just, this is the next stage. How long will it be? I don't know. But I remember in my lifetime, 7 decades, in my lifetime, we had the old wired phone. We had faxes, which blew my mind, how that could do it. Send something through a machine and, come out the other end and see the pictures or whatever it was. And, and then we had the large cell phones that were, you could put in your car or stuff. And I mean, look what we've done just in the last few decades. Well, and we know through science that the time span of how long it takes to bring in a new technology is diminishing. So where it took 50, 100 years to do something, that time now happens in the next 10 years or 5 years. It's accelerating. So who knows how long before all of us will be communicating non-verbally with each other in harmony and love. I look forward to it.
Yeah. It's exciting. Yeah. And that's what we got to keep in mind as we're going through all of this, because if I was going to say the light at the end of the tunnel, and I don't even think we can even, I just said it, but it's like, is there even a tunnel? And it's all going to be light. And I'm not necessarily saying visually light, but it's that, as you said, Terry and Royce, that the consciousness is there. We're already in the one. We're part of the one. And we're beginning to use those parts of us, those aspects of us, we talked about the great experiment, and that's being separate. And it's like we're all coming together. and we will communicate. And many of us already communicate like, oh yeah, I got to call so and so, and yeah, and I'll say, not yet, I'm in the garden or whatever, And so I have this conversation going on in my consciousness with another. Now sometimes they hear me and sometimes not, but I'm trying to send a signal. Don't call yet. Don't call yet. Give me some time, or whatever it may be. And or again, if you think of somebody, they're thinking of you. And we've had this conversation often, but it happens a lot. Yeah. And that's becoming more aware that again, the law of attraction and the free will, that we're realizing what we have. And so some people will, take that choice and move their consciousness on, if you want to call it as such. Other ones will not. It doesn't matter. It's whatever your choice is. And that's what's a big beauty of this whole thing is. And it's not better or worse than, it just is. And some people want to experience that, and other people still want to experience some of what I call the control mechanisms. And it's okay. Excuse me.
How true. And, It's evident everywhere if people notice things. I mean, more time than not, especially when you have a new discovery or something, and even using the Nobel, not so much Nobel Prize, but people are inventing things or seeing things, and you get multiple people that come up at the same time with the same invention. Yeah. Well, they've just tuned in the same wavelengths that have come to them, and that just demonstrates, that we're all connected. I mean, many times all of us experienced walking into a room and someone catches your attention, and that could be positive. It could, raise hair on your arm or a warm feeling. But we've all experienced it, and there's a connection there that is unique at that moment, at that time, with those two individuals. But everybody can tune in. You just ask to tune in. Go to your inner yourself, your heart, and just say, I want to send out love and peace and stuff, and I want to connect to other people that are doing the same and experience it. It'll be a wonderful experience.
Oh yeah, and you're allowing yourself to do that. And I still talk to people that say, I don't have time to meditate, or I don't have time to do this, or whatever. And of course they don't, because they're not allowing themselves to do that, and because they're too busy. And
but that's their choice.
It's their choice, exactly.
Right.
But for us to do talking about this, it's allow yourself. It's for those that want to, their choice, to slow down a bit and take a look at this and observe. And many people that allow themselves to do that seem to work smarter, better, and faster, if you want to put it in those terms. And it's usually easier to do it when they allow themselves to slow down and breathe a little bit. And so things go smoother. Is where I'm going with that. It's smoother and faster, in what we call timeline. So, yeah. All right. Well, do you want to get into the galactic information I got on the galactic unification of nations? Because 2 weeks ago, we talked about nations coming together, and those are, those beings from different planets, which we all are. And I got a little more information on that if y'all want to hear it. Yeah?
Yeah, all sure. Right? Go ahead.
All right. He said, we come before you this day to share with you what is coming forth within your ranks. We are in tune with this unification to bring about total change to this world you now call home in this physicality. We understand that many of you do not feel at home here on planet Earth. However, we tell you that indeed it is home to you now, and you are bringing more of home into this embodiment. Again, what we're talking about right now. We do ask for each of you to prepare for what is coming or transpiring through your work. And that is total unification of the many nations who have come to this planet to explore their possibilities in the life forms that have inhabited this planet, who now inhabit this planet, and those who will inhabit this planet. You ask, who are we? We are you. However, we understand the difficulty for many of you to totally comprehend what we say. This universe you each are now exploring is coming to a point which will bring about total change to the atmospheres, the planet themselves, the solar system, galaxy, and on out into the cosmos. It is what you see as physicality, and you continue to explore what is before you. And you each have come to this earthen plane to make this happen. And we're remembering that. Mm-hmm. So the complexity to this agenda now we have set before us is to recognize what each part we have come to share. And that doesn't mean that your part is set in stone. However, each one of us has come into this role of form for a specific reason. So if that is to design a phone without wires, then it's a phone without wires, and a fax machine, which is almost now debunked. It's whatever it is. Further on in what I was told, they said, well, how will all of this manifest? And they said it's the support of one another as we grow, and we use that word lightly because they said, how can such lighted ones grow? What does that tell you? It is called expansion, and expansion is excitement. So, Terry, you mentioned excitement and that it is contagious, and remember that. So the more we're excited, we get others excited because there's so much more to come and so much more from each of us or within us that we are exploring or experiencing and becoming aware of. It said much more will unfold in the coming days. So stay tuned to your loving selves, and you will understand and comprehend more about this project that we are undertaking. Allow all to fall into place, and indeed it will. Is there a timeline on this project? What we've been talking about? They said, not when you are reciting in no time. Interesting choice of words. However, as you now view time, things will progress quite quickly. Breathe and relax as you go through the setting up and implementation of this unification. By doing this, you will note the energetic love that comes forth for each one of you. That's it.
So what I'd like to do maybe is continue this on our next episode in 2 weeks, because I'd like to bring in the what's going on in the Middle East and say how can we be having a galactic unification and things are coming about when we have this conflict in the Middle East going at this moment, So I think it's too late to get into that in full, but I'd like to maybe bring that up and maybe call that next week or 2 weeks. It's darkest just before the dawn or something like that. But let's carry this over 2 weeks, and then anything else that comes in between. Does that sound good, ladies?
Yeah, sounds good. It sounds perfect. That goes along with some of the things I've been getting, so that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So,
and
thank you.
It makes perfect. There's some rationale and there's a reasoning that things are happening, and we'll get into those in 2 weeks, which will be June 1st, if I'm correct. Deb, you reminded me, June 1st, our next episode on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Be here or be square. And we love you all, and we thank you for listening in to us. And we do encourage you to leave comments on our YouTube channel, which is by the same name, Conscious Gatherers. So for Beverly and Royce and myself, I want to thank you all and say good night, and have a great 2 weeks until we see you again. Ladies?
Good night, and I thank you all for joining us this evening. And any questions that you may have, any concerns, any aha moments, share them. We'd love to hear
them. And please know that beyond anything else, you are definitely loved. You're totally enfolded by it every moment of every day. And thank you so much for staying.
Good night.
Good night.